Hi and good evening. Hoping you're doing great. Everything is going well. Welcome to our new lecture together. As you know, we finished talking about power, types of power, and we said that we're going to complete talking about authority. First of all, authority is that form of power which is legal in a way, or it is legalized and legitimized in certain context or in certain political context. Authority is a form of power which is giving power to an certain actors inside the political system. If a person has power due to a special office or a special position or a special title he or she occupies, this known by authority. For example, police officer, commander has authority to issue or order and get others obeying by virtue of authority he or she occupies. In the sense, power plus legitimacy end with authority. So authority consists of two important components, power and legitimacy. We already discussed power and we're going to discuss legitimacy after talking about authority. So authority means a legitimate power which has been approved by the people, or power in accordance with the constitution or law or certain norms upon the political system inside the country. A government officer, for example, is competent to use authority or his authority clearly defined. So the concept authority is the umbrella of using power in certain way. Let's find the roots of this word. In English, the word authority can be used to mean power, giving by a certain head or certain law or certain norm. According to certain thinkers, or let's go to the encyclopedia, for example, of social science. Authority is the capacity, innate or acquired, for exercising over a certain group. Max Weber defined domination or authority on the chance of commands being obeyed by specific groups of people. Origin of the word authority. The word authority is derived from the Latin word authoritas, meaning invention, advice, opinion, influence, or command in English. So, in a very simple way, authority is the umbrella of power. It is the ability to influence other in a very legal way. Authority means power given by the state in the form of government, judges, police officers, etc. The word authority is used in the name of an organization. The name usually refers to the governing body upon which such authority is visited. Meaning of the word authority is different according to the sphere or the science it is used in. For example, when we talk about government, in government the term authority is often used interchangeability with the term power. It is a synonym for the word power. Here, authority refers to a claim of legitimacy, the justification and might to exercise that power. So, in the context of government, it is, as we said, the umbrella of using power. It is the justification of using and implementing certain norms and power. Authority is institutionalized and legal power inherent in a particular job, function, or position that is meant to enable its holder to successfully carry out his or her responsibilities. Authority is power that is delegated in a formal way. It has been owned based on a formal, official way. It includes the right to command a situation, commit resources, give orders, and expected to be obeyed by others. It is always accompanied by an equal responsibility for one's action or a failure to act. In governments, for example, the term authority is often used in a very interchangeable way with power. In other words, in the very traditional old literature, the word authority used to be used as an alternative word for power, especially in political philosophy. Whenever you see the word power, it used to be understood exactly as the word authority. But nowadays, things really changed. And we're going to follow the progress and understand why things changed, as usually we do whenever we deal with any political term. But the point I want to spotlight here is the actually the emergence or the growing of the many methodological or political theories like behavioralism really changed the pattern of discussing power and authority in various ways. As we usually do whenever we talk about any political term or a political phenomena, we always follow the historical progress, the thinkers dealing with these terminology, and we're going to do the same with authority. One of the most important thinkers and philosophers that we usually spotlight whenever we track the progress of terms is Max Weber. Max Weber, if you still remember, he's a very important politician. He's a German, and his ideas are very essential to everyone who and anyone who wanna to study political science. He's best known for, or he is best known for his thesis, The Protestant Ethic, and his ideas on bureaucracy. In this term or in this topic, authority, Max Weber explained typology of authority concept in his book, The Theory of Social Economic Organization. Uh, Upon his perspective, legitimate authority is derived in three patterns. And these three patterns are as following. Number one, traditional authority. Max Weber said that traditional authority is derived from long established customs, habits, social structure. When power passes from one generation to another generation, then it is called traditional authority. The best example is the right of heredity, monarchy system of ruling countries, kingdoms, etc. So he spotlight in this pattern on the heredity. We're going to discuss these patterns later on, but here we're going only to give a surveying on these patterns. The second pattern, upon his perspective, is charismatic authority. The charisma of the individual or of the leader played an important part in shaping, this pattern of authority. It is the authority which is derived from the gift of grace, or when the leader claims that his or her authority is derived from a higher power. Uh, some of these charismatic authorities derived from religion or religious background or certain law, etc. Followers accept this and are willing to follow this hero, and they see him as a very inspirational character for them, and he get this authority from this relationship in the place of authority that they have a hero, or creating certain hero and give this hero a set of privileges. We're going to discuss, as we said, more and more these patterns later on, but we're going only to mention them here. The third pattern, which is legal rational authority. This is the form of authority which depends on its legitimacy or formal ruler and established laws and state, and maybe a very formal structure, which are usually written or often are complex. And here he maybe referred in a way to the Constitution, but again, it wasn't really written a very clear way. The power of the rational legal authority is mentioned in the constitutions, definitely. Modern societies depends on legal rational authority more and more. Government officials are the best examples of this form. Okay, let's remember that these three types are not totally separated. Like in certain countries, we can like have the three patterns together. We can have one, we can have two, but actually you should always remember that authority is the umbrella of using power. So whether it is traditional, regional, charismatic, it is always the justification to use, justify certain usage of power. Okay, as we said, we already mentioned the three patterns of authority. Now we're going to discuss these patterns in a very deep and analytical approach. Let's talk first about traditional authority. From its name, traditional authority definitely reflects certain historical traditional pattern. But in general, traditional authority, it is the umbrella of power legitimized by respect of long-established cultural pattern or historical path or certain historical cultural identity. If we're going to put certain characteristics for this traditional authority, it could be as following. Number one, this type of pattern of authority is linked or relevant more with the pre-industrial societies. Number two, population's collective memory, where people accept a system based on certain history, certain tribal system, etc. Number three, it is usually part of the heredity leadership. Number four, under this type of authority, there is a strong usage of power in the political system. It could be sometimes absolute power and almost godlike. It is like a similar of holy structure or holy authority that people or citizens are not allowed to argue. Source of a strength of uh, certain legitimate structure. It is more dominant by men over others. In these pattern of societies, women were subordinate. They were not mentioned as real citizens. So we might say that traditional authority is more part of uh, all the old structure and the monarchy system in a way or another. Okay, let's mention some examples of traditional authorities. Number one, it could be any emperor, especially Chinese emperor, because history is full of stories, myths about Chinese emperor. Number two, it could be aristocratic rulers in medieval Europe. Um, uh, there is certain statement I want you to spotlight on. Number one, traditional authority declines as societies industrialize. Number two, traditional authority remains strong only as long as everyone shares the same belief and way of life. This is a very important statement, means that these authorities are only allowed when people are obeying the system, when people or citizens are tracking the same pattern of thinking, when people are subjected to certain norms, traditions, etc. So, how this changed actually, how this moved from this pattern to another? Number one, the first element that changed this pattern of authority is the modern scientific thinking. Number two, specialization demanded by industrial production. Number three, definitely the social changes. Definitely the change in social structure, cultural structure, refused this pattern of authority. Number four, the cultural diversity resulting immigration all combines to weaken tradition. Nowadays we have communities, societies that they don't share anything except for interest, as we said before, and all of this definitely weaken this pattern of authorities. There are still certain hereditary rulers in the world who claim a traditional right to rule, but this claim is easily out of step with modern society. So even if the outside shape or face is traditional, they cannot keep the practical tools or the political system in the same structure. Today's hereditary ruler, their power over society has been minimized. The One of the most important examples is United Kingdom, Malaysia. In spite, of still be a kingdom, all the political system had been changed. It is a parliamentary system. There are political parties. There are a lot of arguments inside the system, etc., etc. So, in spite of keeping the faith of traditional authority, the entire political system have been changed. Okay, let's discuss the second pattern of authority, which is rational legal authority. Weber defined rational legal authority as power legitimized by legally enacted rules and regulations. In this pattern of authority, he depended on the idea of delegation. Rational legal authority is power legitimized and the operation of lawful government. Weber viewed bureaucracy as the type of organization that dominates rational thinking modern societies. Members of today's high-income societies seek justice through the operation of political system that follows firmly enacted rules and laws. Rationally enacted rules also guide the use of power in everyday life. So, according to Weber, this kind of authority is a need for citizens. It is not a force as much as it is a need for citizens to keep their interests protected. Okay, let's have examples for rational legal authority. Number one, the authority of deans, the authority of, for example, certain officers, the authority of executive authority in the country, a police officer, police traffic, security guide, and certain regulation, the army. All these authorities that uh, get the delegation upon certain norms. Traditional authority comes from family, background, certain historical status, while rational legal authority comes from position in government or organization based on legal and formal system. While traditional monarch rules for life assert certain definite rules, relation legal modern rules offer certain norms and rules taking into consideration citizens' interests. And part of this is the presidential system, the prime minister system, the entire political system that take into consideration the entire new structure of political science. For example, a president is not there forever, or how it's supposed to be at least. It get elected, and after the period of election is over, he or she supposed to leave his position because this authority is delegated upon certain norms. Okay, let's move to talk about charismatic authority. Charismatic authority is power legitimized by extraordinary personal abilities that inspire devotion and obedience. charismatic authority depends less on person's formal position or person's legal position, if you want to call it, or office, or norms or constitution. It depends more on personality. Charismatic authority characteristics are the following. Number one, using their personal skills to turn an audience into followers. Number two, make their own rules and challenge the status by their own skills and competencies. Let's have certain examples for this kind of authority. The Indian liberator Mahatma Gandhi. This is a positive example. We have a negative example, for example, Hitler. We can mention many examples for this pattern of authority, but what I want you to understand that part of these examples are derived from certain ideological system, others part of social structure or struggle of the people. Charismatic authority flows from a single individual. Leaders create a phenomenon. Survivor of a charismatic movement, Webber explained, required the hero. According to Webber, people are always seeking to have heroes in their lives because this pattern of hero make people attached to certain types of charismas. But in certain period of time, we can find the transformation of charismatic authority into some combination of traditional and bureaucratic authority. And when we can see this, when this hero or charismatic leader started to be part of the system or join the government in a way or another. Okay. We can have, like, as we said, many examples for the pattern of authority. The only problem of this pattern of authority is that when this leader die, a lot of his or her followers are distributed among other ideas, opinions, and sometimes the case itself or the rights or the issue that they've been fighting for get affected in a very negative way. Okay, let's have a quick like comparison between the three patterns of authority. According to the charismatic, traditional, legal, rational type of ruler, and charismatic, it is charismatic leader, and traditional, it's dominant personality, and legal, it's functional superior according to position determined by. In charismatic, it is having dynamic personality. In traditional, it is established traditional or routine. In legal, it is legal established authority. Number three, role using. In charismatic, extraordinary qualities, skills, exceptional powers. In traditional, it is acquired or inherited. And legal, it is, as we said, norms, constitutions. It is delegated from certain formal structure. The legitimacy or legitimized by. In charismatic, victories, success to command. And traditional, established by history, traditional track. Legal, rational, it should be based on certain understanding, general belief in the formal constitution, believing in the ruler or the role of the authority itself. Number five, it could be loyalty. Do people get more loyal to charismatic, traditional, legal? Actually, it depends on the nature of the nation itself. But in charismatic, it is interpersonal, and traditional, it's based on tradition, history, and legal, it depends on the authority itself. According to cohesion, in charismatic, it is emotionally unstable. And traditional, it is feeling of common purpose. And legal, it is less than emotional, it is more rational. If they are convinced by the doer or the actor, definitely they will get a cohesive community. Number 7, the leadership. In charismatic, rulers and followers are following the leader, and tradition, it established forms of social conduct, and legal, it is all about constitution, it is all about laws, norms, and certain system. Weber has noted that legal domination is the most advanced, and that series evolved from having mostly traditional and charismatic authorities to mostly rational and legal ones, because an instability of charismatic authority automatically forces it to routinize into a more structured form authority. Similarly, he noted that in a pure type of traditional role, sufficient resistance to a master can lead to traditional revolutions. Thus, he indicates Turrets as an inevitable move towards a rational legal structure of authority, utilizing a bureaucratic structure. This ties to his broader concept of rationalization by suggesting that inevitability of a move in this direction. In traditional authority, the legitimacy of the authority comes from tradition. In charismatic authority, it comes from personality and leadership qualities of individuals. And in legal, or on what we call rational legal authority, it comes from power that are in a certain bureaucratic level and legal level, attached to citizenship, attached to what really citizens need. So let's have like a general refresh to differentiate between authority and power. Power is not always legal, while authority, it is always legal. Power, it acquires not through peaceful means, but these are elements of force, control, and certain elements of forcing. And authority, it is a phenomena of peaceful times. Power is essence of politics. Legitimacy is the base of authority. Number 5, force is the brutal manifestation of power. Authority is the legitimate use of power. It is the institutional use of power. Number 5, it is power. It is political use of the desired interest of people, while authority is rooted in the rules and regulation of governments. Okay, thank you so much for sharing me in this amazing discussion. I hope you really get a very good inspiration and information from this. Thank you very much. Please always be safe, and remember, things are exactly how you want to see it. It's not how it is. Thanks, and be safe.